Blog Talk Radio. Hi, and welcome to Conscious Talk Radio, and I'm Linda Summers, and we've got another great show for you today. Our topic is following sensation through electromagnetism to the body electric with our unidentified guest. He is here tonight, and I do want to say that this is a non-organized spiritual conversation. Don't be deceived by the mention of truth. This is a practical conversation. His beliefs, theories are all developed out of a non-cause and effect experiences that are not a pure thought experiment. So with that, welcome to the show.
Hi, Linda. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So, This is an interesting topic of following sensation. So I think I really kind of want to begin when I know what you're talking about with sensation, but I don't know if the listeners really have an idea about sensation and what you're really referring to. We did tap on that a little bit in the last show, but anyway, I thought we'd kind of begin there.
Yeah, definitely. And let me know when if you think some point needs to be delineated or jump in when you think it's an active conversation, right? But I think the reason I use the word sensation, and I've been thinking about this even more so this week. I do mean like sensation into the bioelectric. I definitely mean that. But also just on a kind of larger note, I think it's there's so many. I don't know what it is. There just seems to be so much human relationship issues, and I think I think life is such that it can be hard to live. It can be hard to I know it is for me. It can be hard to understand how things are going, and interacting with people in such a way as that people find a common ground to live upon where they can be mutually supportive and not stuck in their own process or some end result that isn't wanted. And so I think the reason in that sense that I use the word sensation, and when I'm trying to plug into trying to do some dirt time in electromagnetic current field kind of stuff, is that here sensation, how do we get out of that situation? How do we tune into reality, right? And this sensation is really important. Even when you're just thinking about a person, if we really want to do justice to our relationships, we really got to take some time to tune into the other person, and
So when you're saying about sensation, the sensation, what you're referring to is the feeling from another person, sensing the energy, the bigger energy, or it's the energy of the person because they are part of that energy.
Yeah, well, they're people too. When you think of your friend, or you think of me, or I think of you, or I think of anyone else, or probably anyone else thinks, we think of the individual, and sometimes I think we think about it within, what we want out of them, or we think about what they're going to take away from us, or we think about what we're going to give them, or blah, blah, blah. And the reality is, I think, you have to those are all thoughts and wonderments that you're having. That's the problem with love, is everyone's looking for love. But I think in a lot of ways, we go, well, I want a man that looks like this. I want a woman that looks like this. And she or he should have this trait. They should have that trait. Oh, and they should do this. And they should, by the way, they should never do this. And the problem with that is, before you know it, you're creating this concept of this perfect love that's just really something in your head. And if it goes too far, could it ever be met? How could it be met if you're not really open and willing to introduce yourself to someone and sit in a vulnerable space with them? And I guess that is, in that way, this conversation is useful in a way that I didn't think about it. Because to feel sensation, I think everyone feels it, but for you to be open to it, you have to be vulnerable. You
Well,
have to look foolish and everything else.
Yeah, but I don't know if I would say that everybody is out for something, to take something away from that person, or, you know, they want something in return. I mean...
Yeah, I think there's always somewhere there's some form of that element, you know. I mean, we have to work. I'm saying what I think. I'm not saying that I'm right. Is that we have to do our best, you know, to see where we're coming from, and see what our desires are, and see what our fears are, and see what our expectations are, and keep ourselves vulnerable and allow ourselves the understanding that this is what I'm experiencing, you know, awareness, so that through all the muck and all the mud, you can actually truly love someone, which is sensation. Not to be in love, I'm going to get this and I'm going to get that. I'm not saying everyone says it that way, but I do think I know for me that's difficult, and I think for, you know, from what I've experienced, that's difficult for everyone. We come in with hurts and pains and other things. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, I was going to say, I feel that everyone, no matter what you are, if you're in a relationship or if you're for a business, for an opportunity, whatever it is, I think we all have to look at what is the intention that we are seeking from that. You know, what's our intention with everything that we have? There has to be something. I mean, maybe some people can have an agenda, or, you know, I just think and what you're saying is that, what I'm feeling you saying is that it's more of just going into a relationship and being so open and wide and vulnerable, that not having any intention whatsoever, not having any expectations whatsoever, in order to be able to feel, truly feel the sensation, the feeling of another person.
Well, yes and no. Yes and no. I think I'm glad you said it that way, because it further, you know, makes me communicate something that I haven't communicated. Or
okay, before you start, though, there's whistling in the background. I don't know. It sounds like a bird, so I don't know if that's. Yeah, it's really crazy. Every once in a while, I hear this like whistle. Anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. So
whistle. Okay.
Just in case.
I will pay attention to that. I might be producing it. No. I mean, with my mouth on the side, without me knowing that I'm making noises. Yeah. No, I mean, all I was going to say is I, you know, it's just me. I think there's always some expectation for something, and, you know, what is an appropriate space to expectation, and what isn't, and where does that cross the line where you're no longer experiencing it? So something that I would always do in meditation that would bring you to these wild places. Or not even bring me to these wild places, it would help me go down the rabbit hole, is I learned, well, I mean, the idea is, you know, when you meditate, you're supposed to be completely quiet. And I learned very quickly that that's very difficult. And then I learned this very interesting thing. I just learned it from experience, which is, if I'm not being quiet, because sometimes it's hard to know whether you're being quiet or not. And I don't know really how it comes to me, but this is where I learned that if I'm not being quiet, I don't even know how I mean this, but it's funny saying it. I think this is the first time I've ever said it out loud. It's making me realize there's components of this I haven't really thought about, and there's parts of it that, as I'm saying, doesn't make complete sense. But there'd be a place I would get where I would think, oh, you know what it is? It was a notice of the difference. When I was thinking, I almost always was thinking in images. This is going to happen and this is going to happen. This person is going to walk forward here and they're going to do this and they're going to hand me that and I'm going to give them $3 and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to have this conversation with this person. And what I noticed, I'm not saying that this is actually true, I don't really know, is that I could use that to say, oh, I'm not in the moment. And I would just say, just stop. And I would, you know, like many meditation, teachers say, you just focus yourself somewhere in your third eye, you know, whatever you know what that is. And that's what I would do. I would just sit there and, you know, be cognizant that it's going to come and it's going to go, you know, but that if I sit there in its nature, then I guess that's what I mean in that sense. Is I guess for me, there, you know, when I want something out of this show somewhere, whether I recognize it or not. You want something out of this show, whether you recognize it or not, right? We all want something. Even if it's a good thing to want, we want it.
True. Yeah.
And I'm saying by some extent, you don't really know how it all entwines with nature or the truth. And to some extent, that fixed belief system that you penetrate from a desire, at what point is it vulnerable enough to the truth, and where is that line where that same desire comes to a place where it can't hear things? And I think if we all think about that, well, it's easy for us to identify it outside of ourselves and other people, but not always so easy to identify it within ourselves. That, you know, we see that with so many people. And the sensation, no matter what it is that's what I mean by sensation. That's why I say sensation. What is their sensation? You know, what is the sensation? What is the feeling that you are having with them? Stop feeling your own feelings. Stop thinking. And what is the sensation coming off from them? And that's probably why I use the word sensation, because fundamentally it serves that conversation, which worked really well. I didn't realize it works really well.
It what?
It works really well. I didn't mean to do that, but it really elucidates what I mean by sensation for me. I mean, maybe I didn't make that clear to you or any of the listeners, but for me, I'm like, yeah. I can see why I use the word sensation based on that.
Yeah, it's almost like saying I sense where you're coming from. It's a sensation that you have a sense of a feeling that coming from that person. But then how is that?
You're so keyed into them.
Yes, but then we're following sensation through electromagnetism. So when we talk about I can't even say it.
Electromagnetism or electromagnetic effect.
Yes, so how is that? I know we're energy beings, and I know there's this electronic, I don't even want to say electronic because that doesn't even sound right, but this electromagnetic field, right? Mm-hmm. Is that what you're saying? So that's
there's an electrical current, and there's a magnetic field would be the right way to say it. There's an electrical current and a magnetic field around that current.
So
they're separate, but they interact in a deep way. What?
So how is this in relationship with another being when we're talking about sensation, this electromagnetism?
Well, it's really the exact same thing that I just put out. If you can stop yourself, and this is the hard part, it's really difficult. If you can stop yourself from being anything, I feel, if you can just feel the sensation, you know, and when that voice comes to you, you know, you just say, okay, go back there, let it all go. And if you can realize that while you're talking, you're imagining, and if you can realize the possibility that your imaginings might not have anything to do with reality, then you can let them go. And if you let them go and sit with the sensation, you know, it's just from my experiences and the things that have happened to me, things will open up. You know, you'll hear things that you shouldn't hear, and you'll potentially see things that you shouldn't see. But really, you know, since we're talking about, you know, at least when we're talking about, you know, electromagnetic situations, following the sensations, I think somewhere in the back of my mind I'm saying, like, you know, tuning into someone's magnetic field. But and through that sensation of that field, that magnetic field. But within the confines of that magnetic field is the identity of the physical structure of the individual, which is definitely run via electrical currents, which I could explain more, but, you know, why bother unless somebody really needs me to. And then that magnetic field, kind of independently, but very attractingly, and very, because of physical law, that magnetic field will rotate around that current. So when you come into that magnetic field, you're sharing something, and that opens you up as long as you aren't having, you know, you got to be worried about your preconceived notions. But when I say preconceived notions, I mean much more than just a preconceived notion. I mean, the better you could shut yourself off and just really make their sensation every part of your experience, you know, obviously the better you're going to feel that sensation without any bias.
So can you give us an example so people have an idea of what that looks like, of your own experience by doing this?
Well, I think, you know, it's interesting because I wanted to share this anyways because you and I did some stuff, right? And we weren't all that successful as far as, having some grand experience. We shared some feelings. But what I thought was really interesting, just to give what are the possibilities of that meant, and maybe this isn't the best example, but, we were doing that where we were kind of like, we were talking about energy, and I was saying, oh, well, do you feel this here? Do you feel that there? And then the music on my computer started coming on and off, and I would push it to you and let it, not push it to you. It's just like you just feel this current, and it's moving a certain direction, and then it expands and contracts. So it expands, you expand it, you feel it going into the person, and then it contracts, it comes back. And the music kept coming on when it was expanding, then it would contract, the music was disappearing, right?
Right. So how I looked at it, as every time that you would move, that, like it's almost moving a forward motion or a backward motion, that the music would either rise or it would lower. So it was actually, I felt...
Well, it would shut off. It wouldn't lower. It literally just came on and off based on the rise and the tide.
Yeah, which was pretty crazy, because it was not on out there.
Yeah, and to me, once again, it's, you say we're energy beings. We're electrical beings, and we're definitely magnetic beings, So I think all that is a sign of, is clearly, it's hard to know the confines of it, but as we were doing that, and we were, we were feeling that in between us, the sensations that were moving us, and we were trying to confirm, can I feel this? Can you feel that? Well, also in so doing, we were somehow, coming into an electrical current, through what we would think of as more classically electrical configuration, such as a computer. Most people, I think, if they're not educated, don't see, humans as electrical. People might make vague references to it, but they don't really know what it means, maybe because they don't understand chemistry or whatever it is. But that fundamental principle of electromagnetism is reflected everywhere. So hence, once you connect in one place, you can connect in other places.
So what you're just saying is that you don't think a lot of people think that we are electric. Is what you just said?
Well, it's not that I don't think they think we're electric. I think they don't understand what electromagnetism is to the extent, and they don't understand how it comes about in anatomy and physiology, really in physiology, to make nerve impulses run, right? Our ability to talk, our ability to move muscles, our ability to get information from the environment is basically an electrical current. It's a propagation of a signal because of changing the chemoelectrical, like, sodium, potassium, and the charge aspects. So, if you know any chemistry, chlorides are always negative, potassiums are always positive. And, therefore, it just means that if one molecule is positive and one molecule is negative, and then you separate them, you put the negative molecules on one side and the positive on the other, and then there's a cellular membrane. Basically what's going to happen is a very unnatural, that's what's so interesting about it, it's very unnatural for the environment to separate, the boys on one side and the girls on the other side. Boys are one charge, girls another. They're going to want to run at each other, right? Let me have it. So, so when that door opens and that first boy comes in and all the girls yell,
right?
It creates a depolarization of that membrane. Before you know it, all the boys are running over.
Exactly.
And then it just depolarizes, and it's just propagating that electrical signal down. I kind of feel like that might be a metaphor that people could see, but that is electricity in the bioelectric, and that's what I think that title is, the bioelectric. So that's a real thing, and through that propagation, that signal, through that electrical current, because electrical currents always have poles of different electricity, a positive and a negative, right? So through that and around it is a magnetic current, and as you change it, you have fluctuations in the magnetic. But I'm saying, when I go in there and I'm like, oh, look, do you feel this? Do you feel that right there? What we're trying to do is we're trying to associate our sensations probably via our magnetic field. Because once one of us is making an effect on the other, that is perceivable. The magnetic we might not feel anything from, but the electrical we will. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, that's a possibility. So there's a lot that can be done, and I think that what was interesting about what we did, even though we weren't successful in other ways, is that it demonstrated that, when you do make that current, which, and by the way, for people listening, when I say successful, what I'm talking about is like, we heal something or we see something from someone's childhood that is so clear, it's beyond any imaginable burden of proof, against that, meaning that it's real, that just happened. We're not talking about, fairies and pink elephants. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
That's, if you think about what we experience, and this is something I know that you've helped me realize, that it's really not just, it really truly is a connection to us as humans, but also to us and really probably everything else. Because electromagnetism is a basic principle of the universe. Once again, just to throw this driving point out there, I've said it before, the physical search or physics, the physical search of God for physics is something called the unified field theory. Now, they're not going to like me saying God, and they're not going to want to say God, and nor do I really mean God, but in a way I do. It's just because that's anthropomorphize the truth. For me, I want to see it as an old, hairy white man that farts too much or something. Sorry. I put the farting in there just to, bring it down a few levels, I think.
Lighten it up a little bit, right?
Yeah. Let's bring it down, guys. It's a real thing, and an important aspect of finding the truth is realizing that if you put your time in, you're going to get something out. You're not thinking like that, and you're just not thinking deep enough, because I can tell you it does happen, and like you and I both experienced, right? And you tell me, and let everyone hear your voice, there was that musical relationship with the ebb and flow, or not the ebb, but the expansion, contraction of that sensation. Do you know what I mean? Yes. Definitely. And that when you, there's a lot to look into on that. Go ahead.
Well, it was just kind of fascinating. It's like how, I could ask the question, how is that, possible when I know it really is possible, but it was, you know what I mean? It's like, how did that really happen? And the reason I would ask that question is because not having the understanding, not having the knowledge of physics as to the understanding of this electric field or, the current and all that
magnetic field. Yeah.
Not knowing that, but then realizing, now that you just said that realizing that's what it was, it's like, wow, so that's pretty cool how, what comes up for me is like if you're in a meditation, what you're saying is that it's like releasing all these thoughts, but then you can tap into the sensation of truth, of God, the universe, whatever, God, whatever you want to call it, right?
The only thing that's stopping you from the truth is yourself. Because you might be run over by a truck tomorrow, and there's nothing that you can do about that. It's going to happen, and you're going to die, you're going to live, you're going to be maimed, God forbid. But we've got to start accepting that some of us experience some just god-awful things. And if we want to build a caring and compassionate society, we have to accept those, and we have to see, what can we produce in our society that person gets a reward? Because don't you think they deserve a reward?
Sure.
I know that sounds kind of weird, but if someone has to be hurt that way, at the very least, they deserve something more. Do you know what I mean? They deserve a share that somebody with those abilities might not have. Now, you can balance this out from many millions of ways, but I'm only bringing that up as an example to the point of that I forget now. What was I trying to say?
Well, because you were saying that if that person got maimed, that they have every right to receive a reward, and so
compassion. Compassion.
Yeah,
we have to feel each other. We have to find a way to be with each other, which to me, as far as I can tell, is very difficult. And here's the thing: my theory of what's going on will explain why we have so much. It could explain if it's accurate, and I kind of think it is.
You have to come up with this theory as well.
What?
How did you come up with the theory?
How did I? Well, the theory is basically, when I was young, very, very young, I looked around and I said, everyone is so inconsistent. And to me, it wasn't only seeing inconsistency. And I think we all do this. It's like looking in them and going, you're not only inconsistent, you're in denial. It's not inconsistent, it's denial. You're in denial.
But what? You're a child saying they're inconsistent, but inconsistent in what?
They're in denial. There's some issue that they aren't addressing. I mean, anybody somebody prove me wrong, but is there anyone that you can really find that isn't in denial under some sort of subject? Do you know what I mean? There's always some empty space that isn't satisfied that makes you weep. Why can't I find someone that'll just come together with it? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we can be if we don't. If some of us can be satisfied and don't mind. I've always been one that minds. I want unity a lot, and it's been really damaged. My thought of whether unity could be attained is damaged because when I looked around, I said, everyone's in such denial. I can't stop my father from being in denial. I can't stop my mother from the things that she refuses to see. I can't stop my friends. I can't stop the women I dated. And then
what's at
what?
Well, first of all, I'm sorry to interrupt you because
let me say this one point and then I'll let you go because that's the direct point. The thing that I realized at that point was it was a mathematical probability for me. If everyone else is in denial, I must be in denial too, and I must not know it. And at that point, I started realizing all my denials. And to this day, it's still very hard for me to get people to realize that they're not making sense, and they just keep doing it over and over and over, and you can't break them out of it. And that's where this whole denial thing kind of came. That's where it came from. Anyways, go on.
Well, I was going to say, so how old were you? I mean, as a young child. I mean, were you we're talking like elementary, middle school, high school? Because that's a pretty enlightened statement for someone of a young age to say everyone is in denial, to even know the word, to even know the concept. But I guess at a young age,
I knew it.
I don't know. I
knew flavors of it, but I didn't see it so large until I was about 19 or 18. 19, I think. And I was upset with my father. And I don't remember if I was upset with my father. I just remember it circulating around my father. And I would always review, and I get so frustrated because I was so hard to reach everyone. And I knew it was very hard to reach everyone. And since I was a young age, consciously could I remember, I kind of knew if we just all sat down and talked, that would be the answer. That if I could just get us all to sit down and talk and communicate, that we'll seek to give each other things and work for each other, as opposed to always just working for, ourselves or some concept, support or protect some concept we have in our head. But when I was 19, it just hit me. And it hit me all within the concept of God, and it hit me within the concept of denial. And it hit me along the lines when I realized, oh my God, I must not be any different. And I had known this for some time, since I was probably about 14 or, I guess it probably, maybe something crystallized at that point. Because I can remember another time when I was probably 13 or 14, and we were playing street games outside, and I just felt like none of the kids wanted to be around me. I was lonely, and I was depressed. And I was like, why me? And then this memory of this is so to tell the truth, I don't even know if this memory happened. I've told you that I've been places that didn't exist. And the memory of this makes me, it has that quality. Because I thought, and I know I haven't told anyone that, so they don't know what I'm talking about, but basically I have memories of things that happened that never did, and every now and then things will move through time, and I'll be like, oh my God, that didn't fucking exist. I think I did. I talked about that last time with the Chinese bakery and the
pork roll, pork something.
Yeah, the pork bun with the dreams and the Chinese bakery that was actually a dry cleaning business. But anyways, in that moment, I realized, well, it convalesced. When I was 13, like I said, there was something unreal about that. I realized at that time, I knew about it, and I knew, and I figured out a way to find when you're lying to yourself. And it's the same thing as meditation. Basically what you do is, because just as everyone else, you can't find certainty of the truth in them, meaning they can't seem to find it. You can say whatever the hell you want to them, but they won't find it. Do you know what I mean?
No.
They won't agree. You don't know what I mean?
They won't agree. Or they're going to be in denial.
They won't even know they're doing it. Oftentimes, they don't even let you have the conversation. And it's something that they're clearly doing, you know? In my experience, you can always see people somebody always has something. There's always something that will follow that trend, which is a kind of a denial of. Right. Is this making any sense? So anyways, at that point, I realized, you know, I'm like this too. How do you stop this? That's what it was when I was 13 or 14 or however old I was. It was like, how do you stop this? How do you – I realized at the very least at that time or earlier, I knew everyone else is in denial. Everyone else isn't consistent. And at some point, I must have realized I'm not either. And then at that point, in this very dreamlike state, which makes me think it wasn't really there, because I remember almost hallucinations or something around it. But what I realized is that it's the same thing as what I said about plugging into the sensation. You have to stop yourself, and you watch yourself. You slow everything down to slow. And I would track my statements. What? No. Before that, you feel a sensation of your brain or your spirit wavering. It's the only way I could say it. And you know something's wrong. You ever had that moment where you're thinking something and you feel like all of a sudden you go, and then you're like, whoa, you know? Do you know what I mean? And that means like, it's like you're disguising something in a subliminal way, and all that you can feel is this alteration to your consciousness because you won't let yourself know that it's happening. Do you know what I mean, by any chance?
Kind of. I mean, I'm not sure if I think I sort of do. So you mask what you realize. I mean, if you become the observer.
You don't you will not allow yourself to know that it's real. You don't want to see it. You don't want to believe it. You don't want to deal with it.
Why? But why?
What? Why does it happen?
Why would you, well, yeah, and why wouldn't you want to believe it had happened?
Well, that's why I think the whole universe is some aspect of denial. Because there's no reason why people shouldn't be able to share. I mean, think about it. Why would we all lie to ourselves and lie to other people? Does it make any rational sense if we were all I mean, maybe we're all evil bastards, and the truth is that we'll hurt each other, and we do. But I have a strong feeling we do that. I mean, maybe some of us are greedy to the extent that they'll do whatever they want. You know, I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but I'm saying that those people don't matter. Because if they're going to hurt us, they're going to hurt us. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't want them to hurt us. And I'm not sure that they do it for that reasons. I do believe that perhaps some percentage of the population are sociopathic. I don't know. But I do believe in what I'm saying, too. You know, which is, you know, we just don't know. But if we knew that it was there, it wouldn't be hard to change. If we look deep enough, we know it's there. And we know what to do about it. We know how to change it, but instead we just gravitate around all this bad self-talk, securing some delusion. Do you know what I mean?
Is it possible
what?
Is it possible to give an explanation, or not an explanation, but a scenario of that, like what that would look like? Because I'm following my belief.
Okay, how
but
about
I'm
this?
not...
Let me put it this. I'll give an explanation that's real common. Okay? It's at the other person. Well, no. It's something another person does, my explanation, that you yourself do this to, that you usually find. The difference here is that you're not denying what another person's saying, you're denying what you're saying. And I don't mean deny, it's not oppression. I'm not oppressing my feelings. I'm suppressing my feelings. There's a big difference between oppression, where someone oppresses you, and to suppress, to submerge. And that's what I'm saying is we suppress. And with that, I think we suppress perhaps the nature of the universe out of necessity. And I hate to throw this curveball in there. It's the right thing to do, which I'm sure I'm going to confuse the fuck out of everyone by saying that. But here's my example, because I agree with using an example. You ever notice that someone might say something that you just can't believe you heard it, so you just go, I didn't hear that?
Well, yeah, or it could be like somebody, if their child's on drugs or something, it's like, oh, no, they're not. There's no way they could be.
Yeah,
maybe yours is the best of their analogy, so let's go with yours. So somebody says something and you say, there's no way they could have said that. But yet you know they said it.
Not only... Go ahead, sorry.
Yes, but I know they said it. Okay, I understand that part.
They said it, and then you hear them say it again, and you're like, oh, no, they did say that. Like you would literally convince yourself, if you find yourself on the first time around going, oh, they didn't say that for half a millisecond. And let me get back to that half a millisecond. That's how I found to unwind it.
But what if I did, okay, they said that, and then what if I did go, oh my gosh, I can't believe they said that, knowing that they said it, right? Because it affected me emotionally. So I felt it. Or you just couldn't believe it. But even though I'm saying I can't believe it, I think now what I'm saying for me in my own experience, that's an expression. I can't believe they would have said that, but yet I know.
That's different.
Okay.
No, there's a difference between saying I can't. Did you hear what Johnny? It's very different to say. Yeah, it's very different to say. Did you just hear what Johnny said? Compared to somebody saying, hey, I can dance on my... I just say something. Every now and then somebody will say something, and at least I'm aware. It will be so strange. I'll say very quickly, and I want to get back to this concept, in half a millisecond maybe, oh, they didn't just say that, and then I'll forget it. I convince myself. I shift my reality to they didn't say it, but then they'll say it again. And at that point, because you've unconsciously stopped yourself. Once they say it again, you remember that you said, it at 1 sec. I can't believe they said it, but then you just blocked it out of your mind. You're like, oh my God, I just blocked that out of my mind. You did just say that, and it becomes this fun joke because it wasn't any big thing that they said. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. You have the capacity to totally shut down your thought of things. If it doesn't somehow gel with something, you are capable of denying it. And what I'm saying is in that example where you have the first exposure to some statement that you can't believe and that you feel the need to shut it down, and shutting it down is actually shutting you down, right? You're stopping yourself from hearing it. Who knows why the other person said it? They might have just said it to watch you shut down. Shit, I got to try that. That would be fun. I got to find the greatest way to do that and just watch people. Oh my God, that's my next new experiment. Boy, that's going to be fun. Anyways,
what came up for me when you were talking was it's what you're really going. I mean, what you're saying is that when you said that people are shutting out the universe or God. I mean, let's just call it universe. I mean, I don't know, or God, doesn't matter, but. That I think that there is some truth to that, where I think that people really do, I don't believe that there's this higher power or this energy source exists. So they kind of put themselves in a denial of that doesn't exist.
but that's a logical thing that you could never argue. That's not necessarily denial to say I don't believe in a higher force. What I'm saying is much more practical. I'm saying it gets back to what you're saying. But what I'm saying is we don't need to go that far. We can just watch people be in denial over all sorts of things, and they don't know, and you can't take them out. And I'd like to tell you how I got out, because it works. It's just
there you go.
You have to be very observant. So remember when I said I wanted to get back to that half a millisecond situation?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take back this example. Someone says something, you say for half a millisecond, right? Half a millisecond's pretty quick. 1/millionth of a second. 1/millionth of a second. I literally mean that. You have no way of knowing how many words your non-talking mind or voice or spirit can fit into 1/millionth of a second. And I literally mean perhaps 1/millionth of a second. I don't know how much time goes by. But probably that quotient of time gives the ease of denial upon oneself. But so someone says something and you go for half a millionth of a second. They didn't just say that, and then you don't hear it. It was never said. You never said it, blah, blah, blah. There was never any inconsistency in your ideas and your beliefs or whatever the fuck made you do and begin with. And then they say it again. And then it all floods back. And they're your friend. And you go, hey, Bob, you actually just said that. You said that like 4 minutes ago. And I totally chose to forget that you said that. And we all do that. And you start laughing. Ha, 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 ha. Right? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So what I'm saying is what I learned to do is what you do is when you do that, that didn't happen. You have to, what is it called? When you were in the olden days where we didn't have computers and you had to use that white stuff to, if you you did a typo or something, white out. You have to white it out. Yes. But let's face it, none of us were ever happy with the way a whiteout looks like on a term paper.
True.
Right? You always look, this doesn't look good.
Yeah,
it's the same way. It's the same way.
Yes.
That's what I mean by it wave in your consciousness. But you don't know that you're denying something. But that doesn't matter. You'll still feel it. It will come across as pain, come across as discomfort, you get angry. Any number of different things can happen. You'd have to analyze all given things to know how any one thing would express itself as dysfunctional and subject to denial. But if you slow yourself down and start analyzing portions of times, chunks of times, and say for the next week, have put in your bathroom, put by your bedroom, put another thing or two here around the house that says, pay attention to the moment. And then you start subconsciously telling yourself, Joe, pay attention to, God damn it, pay attention to the moment. Pay attention to the, and before you know it, you're paying attention to the moment. But what you mean by pay attention to the moment is you want to find where God slips your head. But it's really just you, in a way. But not really. Once again, something that no one should. Now, that's the kind of thing that I just said. People can go, he didn't just say that.
Right.
But I
exactly.
did.
Yes,
but I
you
did.
But you can listen to the recording and you'll hear it again. So
you listen to the recording and you'll hear it again. Now, here's the thing. You slow yourself down. You watch. Like I'm going to make a beat, and that's the way I'm going to best represent it. And the beat represents a sensation that you. Once again, a sensation you're. Oh my God, yeah, it's a sensation. I'm watching my sensation. I'm not watching what I'm saying. I'm saying to myself what was said, and I'm watching the sensation of my consciousness. Oh my God, I've never said that out loud, but that's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I never realized that. So what I'm doing is I'm going to represent a beat to say, this is me watching my consciousness while I'm reciting, while I'm trying to track back. I'm like, something just happened. But first, define that. Something just happened. That's what I guess I mean by, I'm going to beat it out. So what it's like. So it's like, say the pace and the content of your conversation is something to this effect. Boom, 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 boom. So you got a pattern there, right?
Right.
And that pattern represents reality. And then you feel something like this. Boom, 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 boom. Do you get it? You hit it. Boom. You got that, right? That, while you don't, because what you're feeling that with is you're reciting what you were saying to yourself. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, the rhythm's off, the feel's off. And you say, I know everyone else is in denial, and I know I must not be any different. And then you just slow everything down. Go, what was I thinking there? Am I missing anything? And you keep slowing it down and slowing it down. Then you'll find it. Whatever you're saying to yourself that you want to deny yourself from the truth. And you find that content, and you'll find quicker and quicker and quicker path to redemption, I guess. It was always my thought. Now I don't know. Now that I'm older, I don't even know if it's true. But I know I've seen a lot of cool stuff from that.
Right. So let me ask you two questions. One, what would be the purpose of that? And two, what is this following sensation through electromagnetism to the body electric? Why did you pick that subject? Because I think I have a feeling of what I know. My sense is that what you are trying to achieve, because I've gotten to know you. So what would be the point?
I'm trying to say that if you want to know the truth, there's only one thing in the way. There's not two, there's not three, there's not four things. There's one thing in the way of you knowing the truth, and that's you. Mm-hmm. So if you are in the way, if everyone you see is in denial, if you can agree to that, if you want to see it stop, you must start with the only obvious solution. You yourself are in denial, right? But then the question becomes, how do I get out of denial? Do you know what I mean? And the quality of your connection with...
else, what's the point then?
What do you mean?
If you're out of denial...
What else is there besides awareness?
Huh?
What do you mean, what's the point? What else is there besides awareness?
Well, if I get out of my own denial and get out of my own way and nobody else does, then...
People will. We can. We definitely can. We definitely need to have each other. Sure, a lot of people think that they can satisfy themselves with something else other than relationships, and probably they can. Money's important. Sexual relationships are important. Having family is important. Some of us have some of us don't have others. But the one thing that I think is very needed is quality relationships.
Absolutely, yes.
I know. I think many of us would say, if I have so many friends, I'm happy. What?
What I said is, I think that everyone. Yes, it would be great if everyone would, become more aware, waking up, and tapping in and realizing what we're saying. Because what I was, with this topic for tonight, my sense is really what you wish for is for everyone to really, and I could be wrong, see people, but really see them. Like you were mentioning with the guy who would get maimed from a truck being run over, and, he should be rewarded. That's what I hear you saying. Really for people to really tune in to one another, that if we really put all stuff aside, which is really what you're saying, we have to really go within.
If we loved each other on a big sense, and we appreciated each other, and we made sure that no conversation just ended in what we wanted, which means we'd have to know the truth. And the truth is only to know that you're in denial, if you ask me. If you want to say what's the problem with the world, it's that we're in denial. And if we had an awareness, we wouldn't do the things that we didn't need to do. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe someone's a killer. Maybe someone's a killer and they need to kill. Who are we to say it's otherwise? But if we at least didn't do what we didn't need to do, we would start to make really nice bonds. We would start to love each other. And we would start to say, hey, blah, 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 blah. And it doesn't mean, just in case there's some really die-hard angry people listening, well, that person doesn't deserve this or this. Okay, so don't give it to them, okay? But at the same time, maybe there's something else that you are ready to give. What?
Yeah, I don't know if I would agree with that. Even the people who are angry or whatever, I think that there's an opportunity for everyone. I think that the people who are angry, the people who are killing or whatever, I feel that they haven't been acknowledged or haven't been seen or heard or in somewhere in their life.
They're believing their belief over the belief of the universe. They're not believing in God. And if they come to learn a technique as such as this, if they come to face the truth, and maybe their time in saying, that didn't happen, that just didn't happen, I'm not going to believe that, maybe it's much greater than another person's. Maybe they've been hurt so badly, all they can do is keep themselves away from the sensation. Because it's the very sensation. Oh, come here and feel my sensation, child. Oh, come here. I mean, you can see if you had that kind of nasty situation, because I don't want to feel any sensation. And you keep yourself closed like a tight little box, all wound up with a beautiful, tinkling, metallic melody, but it's still closed off, So there's always that place that we can open up, and, maybe there are true sociopaths out there. Maybe there is true evil. I mean, how the hell do we know? But, I think more importantly is we need to become aware, and we need to find ways to love each other, because I think in the end that's what we all really want. We want to feel connection, and we want to feel support, and we want to feel love, and we want to feel appreciated. And we all kind of instinctually know that, I think, it could be other people aren't in denial, it could be just their characteristic, that most of those things are rewarded based on quality of relationships. And we don't have a society that penetrates that easily.
No.
That's another conversation.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, because I think the whole planet is all about relationship. It's a relationship with yourself, relationship with another being, relationship with life, relationship with nature. It's all about relating. It's all about this connection. And I believe that we do want to connect. That is, it's important to connect, but we have so many barriers and so many things that block us from, having our heart broken to whatever, to be able to, it could be in a business, where you've gotten, what's the word I'm looking for, screwed in your business. You're like, well, I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to be really cautious, right? So in the cautiousness, allow and make room for the possibility of a really good partner to come in. Same thing with a relationship. If you're bringing in old stuff to a new relationship, you've already tainted the relationship. You know what I mean? There's no freshness, there's no newness with it, because you're bringing all the old stuff with it. So we never allow for the opportunity, and I think I would agree with that. I think that it is all about connection. I think that it is all about people wanting to be able to feel one another, but not really knowing that that's what they want to do until they've ever tapped into that. And I would venture to say, and I could be way off, but I think the majority of society is so numbed out that you can have sex or whatever.
Well, look what happens, too. Why shouldn't they be numbed out? We're sterilized, one experience after another. We're knocked down, where our dreams are abolished, our hopes are stomped on. I wasn't right. I wrote this song that, how's it go? Something I must not be who I was, because all my dreams or something are fading away from me. And that's the chorus, is just fading away from me. It's not quite that, but that's just the point is, one thing after another is taken away from us from bad experiences. They mount. They come one after the other. And I think we have to be diligent on finding those places, because out of that, I think it has to, you just try to stop something. You decide that's not going to happen again, or blah blah blah. And I think in so doing, in a lot of cases, you divide yourself from God. And if people can realize it's really important not to do that. Your quality of experience and your quality of ability to reach out to other people are dependent on your relationship with God. And all I'm saying is your relationship with God or the truth, all it is an awareness, is an ability to stay open to the environment. Everything else I'm saying is just the way I think it. But the reality of what I'm saying is it's just your ability to tune in to the awareness of reality and what does that mean and how do you do it. Everything else is speculation. I've said before that when I talk about God or anything, all I'm saying is for me it's more comfortable because of what I've searched for so long. I see it as an entity because it's talked to me so many times. Not in voice, but also in dreams that have come true and different things. And it easily could be just accessible via, the physical theories of, electromagnetic connection. Right. Do you know what I mean? I guess it all comes to full circle in that sense. Yeah, but it's very important, and it doesn't need to be fantasy. And I would challenge anyone that thinks this isn't real. And I feel in most cases that it's not hard to convince them, just in the same way that, people go, there's no God. I'm like, oh, yes, there's God. God's one of the easiest proofs to be found. And they're like, they don't ever say, oh, yeah, well, then prove it. But it's easy, and no one will argue with me probably when I say this. There's no argument to whether there's God. There's just an argument to say whether God has any moral qualities, if it's anything like us. But the idea that you're going to jump down, yes. I mean, sorry, that was interesting. The idea that you're going to jump up and you are going to come down is a reality. That's God. Yeah. It's something that happens. There is something that we are set in. We do exist. There is something that we exist in, and there is a way to find it. And that's what I guess I've spent some portion of my life finding, and I've been successful. And it's very difficult to get that information. No one can really show you how to do it. I mean, they can talk about it, which I think is what I'm trying to do, and you can listen to them and go, oh, my God, they found something. Yes. But dirt time, it's very difficult because you can't turn to anything and go, could this be real? And that's, I've said before, like discernment is so important because you're also in denial. You're going to lie to yourself. Am I lying to myself? Am I discerning enough? Am I resisting? There's all of these issues. It's all built around to stop you from realizing the truth. You know what I mean? It's all in it's a nice little bone tie. It all works in such grand ways to stop you. So.
Yeah. This is so fascinating, just truly fascinating. And I think that, anybody listening that really just to really listen to the show again, really, if you can observe, like just step away from all, judgment or whatever and really be open to the possibility of really hearing what he's saying and with the conversations that's been had, I think that can kind of help and shift that perspective and they can become aware. So that's my sense of it too. So,
but they don't need to have any judgment. Yes, they don't need to have any judgment, though, because here's the thing. They can have all the judgment they don't like about this. I'm trying to present it in a very practical way. And if you don't worry about some of the things I'm saying in between the lines and you just listen to what I'm saying, I think it's things everyone already knows. It's nothing that people would argue about isn't true. It's just I might have not put everything there to show my full thoughts, and I might have just said a lot, in this hour, but it's not. There's truth out there, and whether you're suspicious, you should be suspicious. Why wouldn't you be suspicious? But that doesn't mean that you don't spend the time to investigate the meaning of the universe. And I'm telling you, I don't think I've discovered that much of it, but I've definitely been giving really great treats into some very interesting things, and I cherish those experiences. And I hope somehow they'll make me a happier and more content person and make me more functional and all that. But once again, part of the thought is that that's not possible, which is a horrible thing to say after all that. And I don't know if it's true, but, we could try to slam me around on that subject at another point, because I know that you would.
We'll take that up on another show. So, thank you so much. We appreciate being on the show. It was really, really fascinating and a very connective. I really love the idea of all that. So, thanks so much for being on the show, and we'll have you back again on Monday. And so, not quite sure what the topic will be. So, anybody listening, so be sure to tune in for that. So, thanks again for joining us today.
Hey, maybe you can let someone choose a topic.
Yeah, there you go. I'll put that out there.
Yeah, if somebody wants to have a topic discussion that I could address, I would love to try to address it, especially if you actually show up on the show.
Yeah, I'll look for that, anything out there. So, well, thank you again for everyone who joined us today, and the ones who will be joining us via YouTube. We thank you so much. Please follow, subscribe, comment, and like us, and join me this Thursday, September 3rd, for the next show, 4 Steps to Faster Results with Priya Bain. So thank you again for being on the show. It was great. Have you back again.
Thanks,
we'll see you on Monday. Thanks.
Yeah, happy Monday.